What's up, Nation? Your boy Sly here, and thanks for checking out another Sly Nation gaming review. This one is a little behind, but I wanted to, or actually I needed to, make a final word on Battlefield 1. Now, for those out there that watch all my videos, first of all, not only are you all awesome, but some of you out there might remember my review of Battlefield 1's beta. Now, I didn't have much to say about it, and what I did say wasn't all that great. Now, remember, what I'm talking about right now was my review of the beta a few months ago, and of course, these are my opinions only. So at the time of the beta, the graphics, guys, they felt dull, multiplayer was a confusing mess at first, radar system was terrible, lack of technology, scopes, and weapons were very unimpressive. The mounting system for weapons, armor, horses, all those flying machines, they were very, well, let's just call it very unique. Overall, from a major developer who sold the public an ass ton of hype, it was a complete letdown in my eyes. I've played $10 shooters off of Steam that were better than Battlefield 1's beta. If you remember watching my video, then you also might remember that I said hopefully the campaign will pull off something pretty special and that these next long weeks will be spent polishing multiplayer. Well, guys, what was released was a total masterpiece in gaming storytelling. A moving, captivating collection of stories that put you and your emotions directly into the boots of a young draftee heading to the front lines. Now, before we go into some detail, I'll only talk about my favorite story, which is actually the most well-known story, and that is the very first one, along with the intro. So I'll try to keep spoilers to a minimum and scenes that don't tell you guys very much. First of all, disclaimer, guys, I love all games equally. If they're well built, they have a great story and a fun, fair multiplayer, then what more could you ask for, right? I mean, I don't prefer Battlefield over Call of Duty, and I don't care if it's PlayStation or Xbox. Gaming is gaming, and recent trends and betas have not only myself, but the gaming community a little misled. Now, there are some betas that are simply massive advertising campaigns. Fully polished, ready to ship games that are designed to hook gamers into wanting more by the end of the beta. Most large developers use this tactic, and sure, they call them, so-called stress tests, but most have run games just as big for the past decade, so ultimately, they know what they need. It's simple, they simply want to hook gamers into buying their product. Others, however, deliver betas as works in progress and are meant to flesh out glitches, exploits, connection problems, and the like. In-game maneuverability changes, graphics, and a ton of other things get tweaked after hundreds of thousands of gamers pretty much tear their game apart. So when you get used to playing back-to-back so-called betas that are pretty much ready to ship games, and then all of a sudden you actually jump into a work in progress, it'll seem dull and broken by comparison. So I think that's why Battlefield 1 had such bad reviews at first, or maybe you took all of those reviews to heart and drastically changed some elements before shipping. I mean, who knows? But in the end, the shipped product is what really matters, and that's what we're here to talk about. First, let's dive into the collection of war stories. Collectively, they make up the campaign, and it follows certain soldiers at different stages in different areas within World War I. To be honest, I've never quite played through a reality check quite like that of Battlefield 1. As you start the game, in big, bold letters, the words "you are not meant to survive" stand out as an expectation that transcends gaming. It puts you in the boots of a scared teenager or perhaps early 20-something, and with trembling hands and an army in front of you, you have to do your part for your country, which ultimately is to die for it. The intro is very powerful, more powerful than any other intro I can remember playing in any game in a long, long time. It takes you from 2016 and slams you into the brutal reality of war. You shoot and kill for as long as possible. Wounded, you scrounge for more ammo and weapons by looting your dead brothers, and then ultimately you become overrun and killed. All of a sudden they zoom back out a few hundred yards, and down the line you feel the shoes of another warrior, different country, but fighting for the same side. You have different weaponry, but it's the same story. You try and fight as long as you can and hold off the advancing army. You end up running out of ammo and end up using the weapon you find on your dead comrades until that is you are once again killed, so that the young soldier behind you can now pick up your weapon and use it until his last breath. It's quite the intro, guys. The detail, the sound effects, the mood, scenery, all of that is as crisp and as polished as a game can get, and I bet it looks absolutely amazing on HDR or 4K with 7.1 surround sound. After the chilling intro, the mood is all set and it's off to your first war story. It showcases major as well as lesser known battles of World War I. Now, of course, liberties have been taken to tell the story in a dramatic way, and this isn't how it all actually happened, of course, but the mix of fact and fiction blend together beautifully. Now, this is a linear campaign, so it's not like you can run off the beaten path and go exploring. Having a campaign like this allows for concentrated work areas, and in the end, you can put more effort into these smaller spaces, and that allows for a very fluid and polished experience, something the war stories will show you time and time again. Shooting seems faster, crisper, and more responsive than the beta before it. Gunplay was always pretty good, even in the beta, but now it's way better. There are tons of weapons that you can use, some you've seen before, others you couldn't have dreamt in your wildest dreams. They make for a fun experience in both game types. Driving the tank and also shooting from it seems to be a way better experience than in the beta as well. You were laughably restricted in terms of shooting mounted weapons in the beta. They were powerful, but it still took a lot of shots to put things down. Now though, your range of motion is way better. Your shots feel more powerful and it's a completely changed experience, absolutely for the better. The graphics are something I knew would end up being great. I mean, DICE does great graphics, and this is no exception, guys. The early morning mist, or the fog from the forest, the smoke from the grenades, or the smoke from weapons in the mud your tank drives through. All of it looks superb. The deep mud puddles, however, do look a little bit off, like they're Jell-O pudding, but it's a minor detail, and that could just be a console thing. Now again, you are still restricted by technology here. There are no high-tech scopes, and the ones you do have been jazzed up a little bit to help you keep up with gaming expectations. There were of course scopes in World War I, but you had to be a damn good shot or a decorated hero to be given the opportunity to use one. Most were iron sights, even on the single-shot bolt action, so to counter this, they give you a ton of weaponry to mess around with. The good thing here is that every single player is also using iron sights, so it's not like everyone else is running around with the red dots while you're not. Multiplayer has improved as well. Overall, less lag, more fluid connections, and the gunplay carries over from the campaign into the multiplayer very nicely. The graphics and the environment have been transformed into an overall better experience. The changes to mounted weapons carry over as well as the sharper, crisper movements of the entire game. Still, not a huge fan of the radar, and I hate that you can't zoom in at least a little bit while you have your gas mask on, or at least, let the crosshairs be somewhat close together so you can at least get an idea of where you're shooting. But it doesn't, and that's something you don't end up using very often, but when you do, it's a frustrating mess, especially with a hard to take down boss right in front of you. The multi-kill call-ins and multiplayer are still pretty cool and a neat take on the usual, airstrikes or drones. Instead, you can have like an armored train or an armored soldier. Now, of course, there are still airstrikes. It's Battlefield, but they're a little bit different this time around, and I'll let you all find that one out. Overall, guys, Battlefield 1 blew me away. From a complete letdown in beta to one of the most moving shooters of 2016, it's a masterpiece of wartime storytelling. It does have its flaws, and being set so far back in time only expresses those flaws to a greater degree. But if you can get past those little hiccups, and trust me, it's not a hard thing to do, Battlefield 1 is an immersive, moving, gritty, balls-to-the-wall experience. Add in some lighthearted moments and the fun of the challenge, it is easily the best campaign of any Battlefield game to date. Multiplayer, however, is something I personally just can't get into. It's fun, and the huge multiplayer battles are networking engineering at its best. Commanding your own personal army, if they listen, is something definitely satisfying enough to try out. The plethora of vehicles, armory, and mounted weapon options are a staple in any Battlefield game, and this one is no exception. It might not go down as the best multiplayer ever, but it's pretty damn fun. For my Sly Guy rating, I give Battlefield 1 a 9. I'm teetering to a 9.5, but I don't think multiplayer brings anything that special to warrant a 9.5. Now, if I could separate the two, I would give the campaign a 9.8 and the multiplayer an 8.5. Perhaps a 9. But it is a night and day difference between the beta and the final version. But to me, it just doesn't bring anything that new to the game. The best feature are the maps. Absolutely, they are pretty engrossing and you get turned around all the time. It's the atmosphere, really, that makes the multiplayer good. But when it comes down to the nuts and bolts shooting of it, it's good. Nothing excitingly new though. Again, this is just my personal opinion. It's neither right or is it wrong. So if you want a great, one-of-a-kind campaign with an overall good multiplayer, Battlefield 1 is well worth the money. The war stories alone are worth the price. They are that good. As always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you want to stay in touch with everything Sly Nation, whether it's Destiny, The Division, game reviews, or here soon, Mass Effect, freaking Andromeda, follow me on Twitter at Sly Nation. It's a great way to stay in the know about all the goodness coming out of my channel, as well as the gaming world. Always a pleasure to do this for you all. Hope you guys join the nation and continue this YouTube journey with me. Now, we just closed off a full year on YouTube, guys. It doesn't even seem like a year. It went by so quick. It has been an absolute experience for sure. So, here's to gaming. Here's to you, and until next time, this is your boy Sly. See ya!